Good afternoon, ECCT, here with you for another devotion, working through the Sermon on the Mount. So today we will be looking at chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. So this is Matthew chapter 6, verses 1 to 4. Beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you give to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Truly, I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. So this is Jesus kind of talking about how we ought to demonstrate generosity, charity, hospitality to the poor, to the needy. And what he's really saying here is helping us to find and focus on the right motive when it comes to giving. Really, when Jesus says that we need to beware of practicing our righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, and he says that we will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven, he's really saying that, there's always the danger, there's always the temptation of performing generosity rather than being generous and doing generous things. And when there's the opportunity to perform our generosity, right, to act generous and to appear righteous in front of others, that ulterior motive is always going to kind of take precedence over the pure motive of serving God, right? Serving our Father in heaven. And so obviously, if we are doing charity and acting loving towards others in order to look good, right? Obviously, God will not honor that because it's self-serving, right? So we will obviously receive no reward from our Father. And it's interesting, right, that later on in verse 2, Jesus says that what the hypocrites do, right, they announce their generosity with like a trumpet, and they want to be praised by others. They want to be seen in the streets doing these things for the poor. And Jesus says, truly I say to you, they have received their reward, right? So it's not as if these actions that are done in public are punished or anything like that, but they get what they want, right? But it's implied in the passage that their reward is ultimately self-satisfying and comes up short. It's going to be empty in the end, right? Because you're doing it for public influence, for popularity, for honor that is given to you by people. And ultimately, these are fleeting, temporary. People's allegiances can switch at the drop of a hat, right? Your public reputation can live or die by a single act, right? It can be an act of heroism. It can be a scandal or a controversy. But the main point is Jesus is implying that the reward that they seek and that they will receive for themselves is ultimately empty, and it does not compare to the reward that we receive from God when we focus on the pure motive of giving and loving others in order to serve our God, who is generous and who is loving and who is compassionate. And that's why we need to focus on that pure motive of giving.